Welcome to another adventure on Literacy Adventures with Ali. In today's adventure, we are going to learn more about figurative language. Figurative language is also known as figures of speech, literary devices, or literary tools. As the names suggest, figures of speech or figurative language are a tool that many writers and poets use in their writing. Figures of speech or figurative language basically liven up our writing and our text. It breathes life and adds more meaning and depth for the reader when we use figurative language or figures of speech. So, without any further delay, let's start our adventure today, and I hope that you will join me in future adventures as well. Happy learning!
Figures of speech are also referred to as literary devices, figurative language, or literary elements. Basically, they are literary tools that writers use in their writing to create an image in the reader's mind, create a picture in the reader's mind, to get their points across in an interesting and fun way. The first figure of speech and the most commonly used one is a simile. A simile is a comparison of two persons, animals, or things using the words like or as. For example, as white as snow. So here we are trying to compare snow with the color white because we are talking about an object that is white. So we want to convey our message by comparing the whiteness of, let's say, a dress to snow. Because the moment we compare the dress, the color of the dress with snow, the reader or the listener immediately understands how white the dress was because everybody knows that snow is white. Some other examples of similes are as cool as a cucumber, as clean as a whistle, brave like a lion, as sweet as pie, colorful like crayons. The next figure of speech is a metaphor. A metaphor is a comparison that says one thing is something else when literally it is not. For example, time is money. His brain is a computer. She is a walking dictionary. Sam is a bookworm. My little brother is a teddy bear. Her laughter is a gentle song. So, the basic difference between a simile and a metaphor is that simile uses the word like and as to compare, whereas a metaphor does not take help of either of those two words, and instead it says that one thing is actually another thing. The next figure of speech is an analogy. An analogy compares two similar things to make a point. It is basically a creative way of creating an example so the reader or the listener understand what you are trying to say in a simple, easy, and fun way. For example, a tree is to a leaf as a flower is to a petal. Finding my car keys is like finding a needle in a haystack. So, the moment you say finding my car keys is like finding a needle in a haystack, everybody knows a mental picture is formed the moment a reader reads it or a listener hears it. They form an image in their mind of a haystack in which they're trying to find a needle. So, they immediately get what you are trying to say, they get the point. Some other examples are you're so uncoordinated that you remind me of a baby giraffe. So, the moment you mention a baby giraffe, the listener or the reader immediately understands how uncoordinated you are because the baby giraffe is falling all over the place when it's still a baby. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Reading that suspense novel was like riding on a roller coaster. So, a roller coaster has ups and downs, so the listener or the reader immediately understands what you are trying to say. That there were several climaxes and ups and downs in the story that they were reading. The next figure of speech, and also extremely commonly used, is an idiom. An idiom is a phrase or an expression which means something different from its literal meaning. These are basically famous English phrases which should not be taken literally. They're not meant to be taken literally, and there are hidden meanings behind them. For example, to have your head in the clouds. To have your head in the clouds means to be daydreaming. To spill the beans means to reveal a secret. To throw in the towel means to quit or give up. To have a heart of gold means to be a very generous and genuinely nice person. Cat got your tongue means when someone is speechless. And icing on the cake means when there is already a good situation and something makes that good situation an even better situation. You need to do a lot of reading and Googling in order to learn idioms, understand their real meanings hidden behind them, and to be able to use them in your own writing and speech. Remember, using figures of speech in our writing and in our speech makes us sound like a native speaker because it brings fluency in our writing and in our speech. The next figure of speech is metonymy. Metonymy replaces the name of one thing with something else that is closely related to it. It is a form of wordplay that creates effect. For example, a pen is mightier than a sword. Pen refers to intelligence and civility. The sword refers to violence or barbarism. A smooth tongue wins favor. A smooth tongue here refers to pleasant or kind tone of speech. Give every man your ear, but few your voice. Listen to everyone, but speak to and trust few. So, once again, these are phrases like idioms that do not have a literal meaning. The meanings are hidden behind them, and it is up to the reader or the listener to infer the meanings. So, one thing is being replaced by another that is closely related to it, and once again, it's a wordplay to create an effect. The next figure of speech is a hyperbole. A hyperbole is a statement of over exaggeration which is used for impact or effect. It is not meant to be taken literally again. So, like several figures of speech, hyperbole is also not meant to be taken literally, and we deliberately over exaggerate when we use a hyperbole. And we do so to create an effect, an interesting, fun effect, and also to create a mental image in the reader or the listener's mind. For example, John's nose is a foot long. So basically, what we are trying to say here is that John has a longer nose than usual. Nobody can have a foot long nose because there are 12 inches in a foot, and nobody can have a nose that is 12 inches long. I think even Pinocchio didn't have a nose that was 12 inches long. So we are basically trying to say that John's nose is long, but we use over exaggeration, we use a hyperbole here to create an interesting fun effect, and it immediately creates an image in the reader or the listener's mind of how long John's nose is. Some other examples are I'm so tired I could sleep for a year. So obviously, nobody can sleep for a year. We are not Rip Van Winkle. We have to eat. We have to go to the toilet. We'll get bed sores if we sleep for a year. So there's no literal meaning here. It's just to say that I'm so tired that I could sleep for a very long time. The next example is the food was so spicy I had smoke coming out of my ears. I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. Tina's purse weighs a ton. My feet are killing me. So, my feet are killing me does not literally mean that my feet are trying to pick up a gun or poison me. It means that my feet are hurting a lot. Similarly, when we say Tina's purse weighs a ton, we are basically trying to say that she carries a big purse in which she puts everything, and it's so heavy to carry that we are comparing it with a ton. The next figure of speech is onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is when words imitate the sound that they represent. For example, the rocket whooshed in the sky, the sausages sizzled in the pan, the snake hissed around the pit angrily, the dishes clattered against each other in the sink, the water splashed against the board, the flies buzzed over the food. So, for example, when we say the duck quacked in the pond, so all of the sounds that are related to objects and things and animals, sometimes even human beings, the sounds are known as onomatopoeia. So imagine saying the rocket flew in the sky. It would not have the same impact and effect. So when we say the rocket whooshed in the sky, the sound of whoosh gives the reader or the listener a clear mental image and a picture of how fast the rocket was and the sound that it made in the process of shooting in the sky. The next figure of speech is personification. Personification means giving human like qualities to animals or objects. For example, the engine coughed its last breath. Of course, an engine does not have the capability of coughing because coughing is something that is reserved to human beings or animals only. So, the meaning that is hidden in this sentence is that the engine was so old and it was so out of order that it coughed its last breath when we tried to turn it on. So it just died. It was just done and over with. It was an old engine that did not have any life left in it at all. Similarly, the sun played hide and seek with the clouds. Opportunity knocked at his door. So, opportunity does not have the ability to come and walk on its 2 feet and come and knock at your door. But opportunity knocked at his door means that he was presented with a chance, with an opportunity to do something. My computer throws a tantrum at least once a day. A tantrum is reserved for babies only. It's a term that we generally use to describe how little children or toddlers misbehave or cry or stamp their feet on the ground when they don't get what they want. So, a computer does not have the ability to throw a tantrum. So, what we mean here is that once a day, every day, my computer either hangs or slows down and acts or misbehaves terribly. The remaining sentences are: the stars winked down at me, the wind whistled through the corridor. So, in all of these sentences, we are giving human like qualities to non living objects or animals. The next figure of speech is alliteration, and quite an interesting one at that. Alliteration means same sounding words. Alliteration is used across many different spheres in the world. Some companies choose alliteration to keep their names. For example, Krispy Kreme, Dunkin' Donuts, Coca Cola, and PayPal. So, all of these company names, brand names, have alliteration in them. They have the same sounding words. The first word and the second word both start with the same letter and have the same sound. Sometimes newspapers use alliteration to write their headlines, and they do so to attract the reader's attention and to make their articles fun. For example, worldwide what? So, worldwide and what are all alliteration, they all start with the letter W. Sometimes alliteration is also used by big companies for advertisement because once again it attracts the reader's attention and it makes it look like fun. Look at the McDonald's advertisement here that says Big Beefy Bliss. All B's and all same sounding letters. Alliteration has also been used as tongue twisters for centuries. For example, here is a very famous tongue twisting rhyme which is known as Betty Botter's batter. It says Betty Botter bought some butter, but she said the butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter, it will make my batter bitter. But a bit of better butter, that would make my batter better. So she bought a bit of butter, better than her bitter butter, and she put it in her batter. And the batter was not bitter. So it was better Betty Botter bought a bit of better butter. The next figure of speech is a paradox. A paradox is a sentence that appears self contradictory and expresses two conflicting ideas, but in a way which makes sense, reveals a deeper meaning, and a circular reasoning. For example, the beginning of the end. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the spring of hope, it was the winter of despair. The enemy of your enemy is your friend. I can resist anything but temptation. The next figure of speech is an oxymoron. An oxymoron is a term that combines two opposite or contradictory terms to create a new meaning. For example, bittersweet memories, jumbo shrimp, deafening silence, plastic glasses, silent screams, or a working vacation. The next figure of speech is irony. Irony is a statement that says something which is complete opposite to the reality of the situation. It may express humor, frustration, or anger. For example, the fire engine caught fire, which is an irony because the job of a fire engine is to put out fire. The pilot had a fear of heights. A pilot's job is to fly airplanes at immense heights, so it's ironic that a pilot would have a fear of heights. The police station got robbed because the job of the police is to catch robbers. The marriage counselor has filed for divorce. The psychic has cancelled today's appointments due to unforeseen circumstances. The next figure of speech is a pun. A pun is a clever play on words within a sentence to convey another meaning. It is often used to add humor as the pun usually has a double meaning. For example, I took a picture of a field of wheat. It was grainy. So this is supposed to be funny. There is underlying humor in this sentence because wheat is a grain, which is why when the writer writes, I took a picture of a field of wheat and it was grainy, it's supposed to be funny and it is a play on words. What did the duck say when the waiter gave him the check? Put it on my bill. A bill is the beak of a duck. So once again, it's supposed to be funny and it has a double meaning. The word bill has a double meaning and it's a play on words. A horse is a very stable animal. Stable is a place where horses are kept. Stable also means to have stability. So it has a double meaning and a play on words. A boiled egg every morning is hard to beat. So hard to beat means nothing can be better than that. It's the best. But it also has a double meaning because we do beat an egg. An elephant's opinion holds a lot of weight. So this is very clear because an elephant is a heavy animal. So which is why we are playing on the word weight and we are connecting it with an elephant's opinion. The next figure of speech is euphemism. Euphemism is the replacement of a more offensive, harsh, or rude word with a milder, less offensive word. For example, John passed away last month. We could say he died, but instead of saying he died, we are saying John passed away. So, passed away is a euphemism, a more respectable way of saying someone died. I'm going to use the washroom instead of saying I'm going to pee. She is between jobs instead of saying she's jobless. My friend is follically challenged instead of saying he's bald. I've recorded an audiobook for the visually impaired instead of saying for the blind. Thank you for joining me in today's adventure. If you like this video, then please subscribe and like and hit the notification bell. If you want to know more about me, then please check out my bio in the About section of my channel. If you want to contact me for conducting training sessions, then please send me an email at the email address shown on the screen.